Critics are sounding the alarm on proposed reforms to Canada's airline passenger rights rules. On Monday, Transport Minister Omar Al-Gabra laid out reforms which put the onus on airlines to show a flight disruption was caused by safety concerns or by reasons outside of their control. Mr. Al-Gabra says the COVID-19 pandemic exposed gaps in the Liberals' passenger rights charter. Carriers frequently cited safety as the reason for last-minute cancellations and delays. Now, this relieved them of their obligation to pay compensation to customers. However, NDP transport critic Taylor Backrack says the proposed law still leaves the so-called safety loophole intact and falls short of Europe's passenger rights standards. Well, joining us now to give us his take on these proposed regulations is Mr. John Gradek, aviation expert, faculty lecturer, and coordinator of the Aviation Management Program at McGill University. Mr. Gradek, welcome back to Forum Daily.
My pleasure to be here.
Now, so can you walk us through these proposed passenger rights reforms and how they intend to avoid this safety loophole that airlines have been using?
I think that everybody's kind of dumping on the safety loophole because the airlines have decided that their definition of safety goes above and beyond what the original concept of safety was when the regulations were first crafted in 2019. So what we see happening recently is that the airlines are using staff shortages, they're using weather, they're using aircraft delays, they're using a whole slew of different management, I call shortcomings, in terms of managing the assets they have, and lumping all that into what they broadly defined as safety. So yes, you cannot fly an airplane with less than one pilot being short, or one flight attendant being short, or the washroom not working properly, or a window in the airplane not being cleaned properly. So those are all safety considerations. What was initially expected to happen with safety was something that would, in fact, impact the safe operation of that airplane to complete its mission. So if you have an engine failure, if you have a piece of equipment on board the airplane that is not functioning, but it needs to function for that itinerary, that is a very valid safety issue. And I think that that's where we've had some liberal, excuse the pun, liberal application of the term safety by the airline, and that's got to stop.
And I guess when it comes to these proposed reforms, we're hearing from critics that it would likely leave this safety loophole still intact. Is that really the case, Mr. Gradek?
I think it should be. I think that, I don't think we want the airlines to basically fly unsafe airplanes. We don't want the airlines to fly with an engine that's broken, with a piece of radio equipment that's not working, with a piece of braking system that's not working. Those are legitimate occurrences of breakdowns right at flight departure time that do occur. And for me, we would be really putting a lot of pressure and having our safe aircraft operations put at risk if we put pressure on the airlines to basically let those safety considerations pass. So those are very legitimate safety aspirations. Right now, the airlines have basically shot themselves in the foot by taking all of these liberal applications of safety and putting them all in there. So safety will still be there.
All right, we'll definitely have to see this fine line between what constitutes as a safety concern when it comes to airline travel. Now, another thing, just about a minute left here, I really want to touch on this. The National Airlines Council has warned that the cost of tougher passenger protections could actually trickle down to the travelers themselves, leading to pricier fares. So how much more could they potentially pay with these reforms here?
This is like any other cost pot. If you have flight, if the price of fuel goes up, guess what? It's passed on to the customer. If the price of labor gets increased, it gets passed on to the customer. Again, this type of pass-through concept is very much in second nature of how airlines price their products. So yes, be prepared for an increase in prices as a result of these compensation numbers coming through.
All right, Mr. Gradek, a quick 45 seconds left here, but what sort of additions would you add to these reforms to protect both passengers and airlines?
Well, I think that, we've got to really understand service. And I think I've been harping all along that these regulations have ignored how the airlines provide service to the customer. There's nothing in these regulations. There's nothing in these proposed changes to the rules that basically look at, making sure airlines answer passengers' phone calls. and provide information about next trips. None of that is there, and I think that's a very glaring omission as far as I'm concerned. That we're looking at delays, but we're not looking at service, and I think that's the important element that's missing.